Welcome to the show, and the name of the show is the Science Show. And today we would like to discuss about the Great Attractor. Believe it or not, there is something called Great Attractor in the neighborhood of our Milky Way, and we would like to understand what is this Great Attractor. Well, the thing is that in our space there are many things which we do not understand, and however hard we try, we have no means to even understand. And similar to this anomaly, we also have something called the Great Attractor, about which we have very, very little knowledge. And because of this, it has become a very intriguing object. It appears that in the nearby space, all galaxies, thousands and thousands of galaxies are rushing towards one point in space, which is now nicknamed as the Great Attractor. And we do not know what this object is this is an object, or it is is it a large black hole, but the fact of the matter is that this attractor is not only pulling all the galaxies, thousands of galaxies nearby, including the Milky Way, it is also eating them. So once you reach a big galaxy reaches this point, it disappears. So that is why this is something which is very, very strange, and we are not able to see this object also, since because it is hidden by the from our point of view, because we are located in certain place in our galaxy. And when we look at the Great Attractor, this object is behind the central core of our Milky Way, and because of which we are not able to see the Great Attractor, and we know very little about this particular body. We do not know what it is. But the fact of the matter is, Milky Way and the surrounding galaxies are part of a small group. And on our science show, we have actually talked about many times that the galaxies are formed in wherever there is high concentration of dark matter. So usually these are the filament type structure which actually help matter to combine and form large galaxies, stars, etc. So our Milky Way is part of a small cluster which looks like this, and it has a few thousand galaxies. And now this cluster is getting attracted to another cluster, which is called the Virgo cluster. And our galaxy, along with the local cluster, is moving towards the Virgo cluster. And all this action we know exactly based on the movement of the galaxy, but all this action, what is going on, we are unable to see because our position is in our galaxy. Basically, the vision basically passed through the core of the galaxy, which has lot of stars and lot of dust and lot of cloud, which blocks our way, and therefore we are not able to examine what is behind the galaxy, and what is why these galaxies are rushing towards the Virgo cluster. Then Virgo cluster is rushing towards the Great Attractor in turn. So we can do all the mathematical calculation, but we can't do any observation to understand what is this strange object, and why it is pulling all these such huge humongous objects towards itself. And if you look at the gravity, then it must have huge gravity, because of which this object is able to even pull the entire space nearby and all other galaxies nearby. So in nutshell, this object is so energetic and it has such high gravity, it basically creates a sort of a flow in the universe. And we know that all these galaxies, large galaxies, are now rushing towards, in fact they are combining, and they are all rushing towards the Great Attractor. So it is a very scary thought that there is something like this exist in our nearby neighborhood, pulling all the galaxies. And by the time Milky Way reaches this Great Attractor, we would have been long gone, because it will take a couple of billion years. But it's a very scary thought that if there is some civilization on some galaxy which is ahead of us, they will actually get into the Great Attractor before us. So what will happen to those people, those life forms who fall into the Great Attractor? So I think it is very important for us to understand what are these objects which creates such high gravity that they are able to pull whole galaxy cluster and even eat them, consume them. So they could be anything. They could be a parallel universe lurking around. It could be a very, very large black hole which is able to pull all galaxies toward itself. So until unless we have the ability to peer through or remove the gaseous cloud and use the infrared and very high technology so that we can penetrate our vision and look into the infrared, because infrared radiation can pass through the cloud and gas. So until and unless the James Webb start looking at this great attractor, or even future satellites with even sharper image seeing capability than James Webb, we will be able to see this great attractor. But until then, until we have the technology, or until we understand, or until we find another similar object elsewhere in the universe, we are completely blinded. We don't know what this great attractor is. And while this entire all these galaxies are moving towards the great attractor, there is also a relative speed among themselves. So because of the relative speed, we know that the nearest galaxy to Milky Way is Andromeda, and about 2 to 3 billion years from now, Andromeda and Milky Way will start colliding. It will be a spectacular view in the night sky if we are still around, but chances are we won't be around that long. But the collision will look amazing in our night sky or from any other angle in our galaxy. So eventually, Andromeda will collide with Milky Way, and then Milky Way and Andromeda, because these two are very, very large galaxies, they will combine, become one over the another 5 billion years, and they will form something called elliptical galaxy. And once they form elliptical galaxy, which is twice the size of the combined mass of Milky Way and Andromeda, and truly the structure formed after merger of Andromeda and Milky Way will be huge. And then the new form entity, which scientists now call it Milkomeda, which is the combination of Milky Way and Andromeda, will eventually go towards the great attractor. So a lot of action awaits our galaxy and our neighborhood and neighboring galaxies, and what lies beyond the great attractor nobody knows. So that is why these unanswered questions can be very scary. It may keep you up in the night, because you always keep thinking about what are these bodies which we have no clue at all, and they are devouring large structures like entire galaxies, in eating them. And yet we don't see what this is. It could be a large black hole, or it could be a passage to another universe. And in both the cases, the thought of our galaxy, our planet, our future species going into the great attractor is very scary. And that is why this is something which I wanted to talk today in the live science show. And by the way, as we are live, you can share your thoughts if you have any thoughts running in your mind looking at this information which is available. So maybe in the future we may come across with more sensitive these infrared telescopes, which will help us see great attractor in much more clarity, and we will get chance to see what this object is. It will also open up our eyes to see what are the different types of objects which exist in our space. And until unless we have the clear vision, we will never know. For example, there are special type of stars and special type of objects which are found specifically near the central black hole, and those are called different types of they are not stars, they are not black hole, they are something in between. So similarly, this great attractor which exists, and it is so huge that it is pulling all the galaxies. So if we know what is this object, then we will know exactly a little bit more about our universe, our space in which we exist. So friends, I think this is something that I wanted to talk about today. And great attractor is very, very mysterious. I think this is something that we must keep our eyes and ear open, just in case if scientists are able to deduce the origin of the great attractor, because it is going to eat our galaxy one day, which is the combined galaxy of Andromeda and Milky Way. In future, probably on our way to the great attractor, we may collide with other galaxies on the way. We don't know, but right now the great attractor is pulling all the galaxies, all these major galaxy clusters towards itself, and then once you reach the point, then you disappear. So that is something which is very, very intriguing. So what do you think about this? Do you have any opinion, or do you know anything beyond what I have shared with you in my live stream? I will be eager to hear from you. So as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next edition of Science Show. Bye bye.